Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an aspect of the race we might look back on later as having been the path to finding the winner. Well, a bit of a come down in grade on Sunday from International Day. However, there's still winners to be found. And the first race I'm going to look at is the opening race, race 1, where our winning factor is the jockey. Now, this is a race for the cellar dwellers, a class 5 over 1400 metres, and 4 of the runners are dropping down into this grade from class 4. Now, no doubt there'll be arguments made for them, and I think the major players include a couple of them: a Joyful Genius from David Hall's yard, a Jiangxi Stamina, Handsome Veggie has a chance, and Shenron has been racing well since he joined Pierre Rung's yard this season. Now, for me, the major players look to be Joyful Genius and Shenron. So we're going to go back to have a look 2 starts ago at Shenron. His latest run, he had some vet issues. So I think this gives us a better guide. And this is a race over 1,000 metres at Happy Valley. It's race 84 for this season, and he's one of the first out of the gates with the light blue colours. Now, Shenron has the pace to compete for the front early. And the heat map shows that the pace is only about average for this sort of a race, but he still doesn't get much peace in the run with a rival either side of him. And the leaders just get away from him, the other two, rounding the home turn. But he keeps on gamely. He gathers them up again in the straight and is all set to win, but gets grabbed on the line by a runner who had a more relaxed trip behind the speed. I'm also inclined to overlook the latest run from Joyful Genius on a very wet dirt track. But if we go back 2 starts ago, he offered himself up as very much a coming winner when he ran a great race over 1,200 metres in Class 4. This is race 141. He's in gate 5, mainly white colours, and he's not the best out of the gates. Luke Ferraris has to settle towards the rear on him, and look on the heat map, a very strong fast fractions mid-race with a tearaway leader here, and he can't really make up any ground until getting into the home straight. And over the final stages, as the leaders weaken, he encounters a little bit of traffic at the 300 metres, but then finishes strongly when clear in a strong closing third over the insufficient distance. Now, I guess I could have made the focus of this race the horses dropping in class. I could have made the winning factor down in class, but that's not something that I do very often because, frankly, they don't perform that well. Horses dropping in class, they only win around about at the same rate as horses staying in the same class, and not even close to the rate of horses rising in class. Now, all that does encounter one exception, and that's Zac Purton. If you have a look at the graphic here, these are the performances of the jockeys on horses dropping in class. And there are many areas in racing where Purton has proved himself one of the greats of Hong Kong racing, but I'd say that this is one he just about owns by himself. As you see, whether we use his winning strike rate or his performance compared to the market's expected wins from his mounts, Purton is way ahead of his current rivals. And I've also run this study across other great jockeys in Hong Kong's racing past, like Douglas White, Joao Moreira and Brett Preble and others, and none of them is even close to Purton on horses dropping in class. He's the only one who is consistently well ahead of expectations. So that's the edge that we're going to be looking for in this race because it isn't perfect on the map. The draw doesn't look much help to Shenron at first glance, but he steps up in distance here to 1,400 metres, and there doesn't look an oversupply of leaders in the field. We saw he's got good pace, so I anticipate Shenron pushing forward to put himself into a good position somewhere on the front end of the race. Now, Purton on Joyful Genius, well, he'll be trying to get him away cleanly, but he'll still be behind Shenron. However, I think he might just be a little bit more forward than we've seen him at 1,200 metres previously. So the tip in race 1, Joyful Genius. His winning factor, the jockey. Now, just in terms of form, you could make a great argument for this horse, But I think partnering up with Zach Purton, who's, as I say, the only jockey to be backing with horses dropping in grade, I think that makes a powerful argument for this horse. For our other race, I'm going to go down to the other end of the card, race 10, where our winning factor is up in class. Now we've gone from one end of the program to the other, a different level of horse and a polar opposite factor. And cases will be made here for the likes of Never Too Soon, Happy Daily, Massive Action, Happy Day and Storm Legend. But the key to the race for me lies with the two last start winners, Stunning Impact and Accelerando. And Stunning Impact has really clicked into form with his new trainer Pierre Ng and made the graduation last start to winning in Class 3. So we're going to take a look at that race. It's race 168. He's in gate 4 with pink and red colours, and Stunning Impact jumps away well. It's a truly run affair over the 1400 metres, as you can see on the heat map. He settles comfortably in midfield for Sylvester de Souza and gets a trouble-free passage. In fact, he probably couldn't have got a better run through the race before getting into the clear at the right time to wind up and close off strongly in the final 150 metres. Now the runner-up there, Sweet Encounter, was particularly unlucky, but it's still good-looking form because that horse has since won twice, and certainly Stunning Impact was able to beat the rest of them pretty comfortably. Now as far as Accelerando goes, he's also coming off a last start win, but in Class 4. This is race 199. He's in red and white colours, gate 11, and begins okay, but is beaten for speed early in what the heat map shows was a very contested lead, particularly through the middle stages. But Zach Purton slops him over into midfield, wide but with some wind cover, and he's actually in a great striking position through the fast parts of the race before they turn for home, and the inevitable happens with the leaders calling for a taxi in the home straight. He's slightly held up, but once he gets out, Accelerando puts them away quickly at the 150 metres and comes clear. So we're lining up Stunning Impact's Class 3 win against Accelerando's Class 4 win. And there will be some commentary to say that Accelerando therefore faces the more difficult challenge rising in class. And we do often hear trainers after they win a race say that they're quite happy to think that their horse will stay in the same class next time. Well, the warning is be careful what you wish for. When we look at the class changes or non-changes in Hong Kong racing in all races since September 2012, we can compare the performances of the horses up in grade, down in grade and staying in the same grade. And you can see for yourself the differences. But you can also see the differences in performances of last start winners in the same class. They're better than the stats for all horses staying in that class, but so too are the stats for last start winners rising in grade. And as you can see, there's only one group that outperforms the market. Now both of these horses that I've identified as the main chances are run-on horses, so that means that they'd like some speed on. I'm not sure that they're going to get it. When we take a look at the map, it's a questionable speed, which doesn't particularly help either of them, but I expect to see both of them in similar positions about midfield as Massive Action, Killandini and World Famous work out the speed between themselves. I think these two horses have both shown a good turn of foot in those replays that we've seen, so they might be able to overcome the speed disadvantage and be looking to get over the top of the leaders in the final 200 metres. But the tip for me in race 10 is Accelerando. His winning factor, up in class. Yes, last start winners are always a good place to look for the winner of the race we're examining, but the statistics show that the horse going up in grade has an edge on the one staying in the same class. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. We'll see you next time.